Well, it's time to find out read all the exposition. There's a lot of exhibition in this investigation, but it's good. I don't know, I've been enjoying it. Just the right amount, I feel like. Alright then. Good old suspense theme. What was this again? One small box. Humans. Curation. The stamp. Maybe the stamp would be relevant. Right, let's do the exposition. It's going to take a minute to warm up my voice again, but hopefully we will be alright. So, Gina was about to explain what she really experienced on the 13th of February, the night of Case 3's incident. So let's get to it. You said McGilded made you swear not to tell anybody what you saw. But you were in the pitch black compartment under the seat the whole time, weren't you? Yes, with Mr. McGilded sitting above your head, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's true, but it was when I heard the thud of the cove hitting the floor, I let out a little scream, see? Couldn't help it. McGilded heard that and dragged me out by my arm, and that's when I saw it. It was on the floor, next to the old geezer what had been stabbed. The button, the small box, the disc. A disc, all bright and shiny. A disc? Do you mean? Yeah, that's it. The one that the day took off me at Windy Banks. So the music disc was there, on the floor of the omnibus. Not for long. McGilded spotted it straight away. He picked it up smartish and stuffed it in his inside pocket. So that disc was in the omnibus 2 months ago at the scene of Mr. Mason's murder. And the bog trotter told me I weren't to mutter a word of it to no one. But the disc is clearly important, as the game has made exceedingly obvious. Because it was so dark under that seat in the cab, I was straining my ears the whole time. After a while, I heard the door and footsteps inside the cabin. Presumably that was McGilded getting on board. Nah, not only him. Oh, I could definitely make out the footsteps of 2 people. Ah, oh my god! In the case I didn't even consider this, because I remember I said like maybe somebody else walked in, or somebody else entered somehow before. I did think that somebody got on before Fairplay, and that was what I was thinking, but maybe that was a bit off. So, the victim boarded with McGilded. In that case, it would seem likely that it was Mr. McGilded and the victim, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In his testimony during the trial... goodness me, my voice is still getting there. Mr. McGilded claimed that he slept during the carriage ride. Really? Stop making me do his voice. Game. But whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it. And your own... oh. No. And your own testimony, Gina, supported his. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Yeah, that weren't exactly true. Neither of them was asleep. I could hear them talking the whole time, in low voices. What? What were they talking about? Sorry, I don't know. The sound of those horses and the wheels was too loud. That still tells us something. Mr. McGilded and the victim knew each other. So McGilded was lying, as I suspected. I knew it weren't going to take long before someone raised the alarm. That bloke had been killed. Yes, you were quite right. The other passengers on the roof deck noticed very quickly. So, when the cab came to a stop, McGilded told me to hide it back under the seat again. I climbed in and waited. The two coves from up top ran off to get the coppers. She's not explained where the stuff under the seat was put. Because Van Zyx mentioned that there wouldn't have been room for her to get in there with the stuff. I guess McGilded put it back. Yes, Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. Right, and after they'd gone, McGilded asked the driver to do him a favour. A favour? Elfin fella, what I need you to do is to take this coat of mine and deposit it with a nearby pawnbroker. And for your troubles, let's see now. I'll give you 10 guineas. Nearby pawnbroker? You mean on Baker Street? Yeah, you got it. It was Windybanks. The coach, he snapped up the money and ran off to pop this coat as fast as he could. So then there was no one left in the carriage. McGilded opened the box under the seat and let me get out of there. Not without conditions. I see. McGilded's conditions. What were Mr. McGilded's conditions then? For letting you go free, I mean. Not telling a soul, not for anything, about what I saw and what I heard. And there was something else as well. There's more. Yeah, this is the most important thing, he said. I'm after sending the coachman on a little... I'm after sending the coachman on a little errand for me, with some small change in his hand. Now then, did ye hear what I asked of him? Did you see anything at all? At all? You asked him to go pop your weasel, right? Aye. The fiend's taken me overcoat to deposit with a pawnbroker hereabouts. And I want you, lass, to take the redemption ticket for it. Do you understand? What? You want me to have the ticket? That's right, and I'll come fetch it from you later, sometime within the next 2 months. You're to hang on to it until then, is that clear? And whatever you do, don't lose it. All right then. And in case I might happen to be delayed... And in case I might happen to be delayed at all, you're to go to the pawn shop, Windybanks so it is, and you're to extend the loan afore the 2 months is up. If you forget, the article will be forfeited, and any old fiend could come along and buy it. Aye, but I ain't got that kind of brass. Here's £5. That should be enough. Do we understand each other, lass? Don't try anything funny now, if you go against me. Yeah, I get it. Good, and one more thing. In a few days from now, you'll be visited by the police, I've no doubt. The coppers? Aye, they'll come asking you to stand in the court, to testify as a witness. Oh, let's just have a wee chat about that, shall we? What it is that you might say, and what it is that you won't. After I'd gone over it all, I parked it. Got as far away from there as I could. He hid the pawnbroker's ticket in some bushes near the Seine. I went to fetch it the next day once it got dark. So McGill had planned it, and coerced Gina into giving false testimony. I bet you're ready to string me up, eh? I lied in that big old courtroom, told some corkers. The thing is, he said he would make it so we couldn't live in the East End no more. That's what he threatened me with. What's her voice again? Holy shit. Hurley? What a wicked man. He know everything what went back on it. He know everything what went on in the back slums. He knew we had no one to look after us, and we was all just looking out for each other, getting by together. So you mean Mr. McGilded would have... In an heartbeat, he could have had the whole lot of us chased out of there if he wanted. And then where could we have gone, eh? Nowhere, that's where. So, I didn't have no choice. Thank you, Gina, for telling us everything. But, I'm for it now, eh? Go on, admit it. You must be livid. Well, you can make amends by doing me a simple favour. Favour? What? Sign the representation papers for tomorrow's trial. Eh? You don't actually want me to represent you in court. You can rip it up later. We need that paperwork, or we can't investigate. Police won't let us. Investigate what? Scene of the incident last night. Mr. Sholmes was shot, you see. You what? Early's having a big No. Early's having a big operation right now. No. Would you like some tea? Early's having a big operation right now, Ginny. Is it bad? Is he going to be alright? Sholmes is going to be alright, right? That's why I want to investigate, for Mr. Sholmes' sake as much as anything. Right. So what you're saying is, if I sign that bit of paper, everyone's happy. Is that it? Something like that. Miss Susato? Yes, of course. I have the representation papers here. I don't need no one to stick up for me though. No lawyer or nothing. Well, we'll see about that. Oh, Ginny, she seems so lonely. Well, at least this should mean we can investigate the scene at Windybanks now. Yes, and perhaps we can come back to visit Ginny when we're done there. I feel like we've finally cracked Gina. She's opened up to us at last. And now I have her representation papers. No one else knows just what a responsibility that is. Anyway, now it means Inspector Gregson can't stop us investigating at Windy Banks. Although something tells me he's not going to be happy about it. I just realised why the game doesn't let you quit from this screen. Because then what would the main menu background be? Because it's just nothing here, right? Oh, shit. Here we are again at the scene of the crime. Now to thrust these representation papers in Gregson's face and see what he makes of them. Hello again, Inspector. Do you have a minute, please? What is it now? You should go home and get some rest. Here you are, Gregsy. Here are the representation papers. Your ladyship. Oh, how? Oh, I don't believe it. How the devil did you get that stubborn little ragabash to sign that? I salute you. That is good work, that is. I can see you've been busy here as well. How about some tea? It's a special blend designed to relieve fatigue. Ah, lovely. Now, well, let's see now. Yes. I hardly feel tired at all. I'm fit as a fiddle, your ladyship. Would it be alright if we investigated the scene of the crime then? Oh, as you please. You know where it happened. Through that door behind the counter. Yes, the storeroom. That's where I discovered Mr. Windybank and Gina. Right, well, I'll be getting back to business then. Will you be investigating in the storeroom as well, Inspector? If I'm perfectly honest, we need to wrap this up before long. Can't afford to spend too much time on it. But there are so many articles to go through, it's taking forever, even with the lads working round the clock. Which is a problem, because there's another case the yard that needs to investigate urgently. That must be what Lord Strongheart meant by far more serious matters before. So what I'm saying is, don't get under my feet, sunshine. Come then, and let us not waste any time. So the whole gang is here now, so it's going to be all different, right? Although apparently I've read this dialogue before, which is very strange, because this one... Oh, okay. I'm fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. Here we are, though I'm not confident I can get it closed again. Oh yes, that's a folding stereoscope. Really? This is a stereoscope? Mr. Sholmes showed us a picture yesterday that we were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions. But for that, he used the great big contraption over there. Oh, well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. But this little thing is a much simpler design for use at home. There are special shops selling prints that you can use in them. I have a little collection myself. I wonder if I could make money out of these in Japan. It would beat keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. Why are these things relevant? The stereoscopes. Like, why are they here? Such an emphasis is put on them in the dialogue. Right? Like, how can they possibly be relevant? I don't get it. Maybe looking at something through them is going to reveal some secret. This is that strange contraption that lets you see pictures of things as if they're right in front of your eyes. Makes you think. When Mr. Sholmes gleefully showed it to us yesterday, we were blissfully unaware that any of this was about to happen.
These shelves are where the pawnbrokers put articles that have been forfeited on display for customers to buy.
Yes, it's really strange, Miss Selene, I guess. Makes sense. Or was it Miss Selene? Yes, it's a really strange miscellany, isn't it? I mean, who would want to buy this horse statue, for example?
Well, sometimes you can find some real treasures among all the junk, you know? Are you alright, Bruno?
Oh, it's just... well, it looks like a collection of useless junk as a whole. But when you pick out individual things, you can't help wishing you owned them. Even that horse statue.
That's exactly how the pawnbroker works. They're very clever.
Did Mr. Garrett speak about pawnbrokers at all? I can't remember.
There's a music box. Do you have them for where you come from, Bruno?
Yes, but I've never seen one as large as this in Japan.
Oh well, this'll be a treat. Shall we have a listen?
This reminds me a little bit of something from Professor Layton vs. Ace Attorney. Like one of the puzzle themes, I think. Maybe I'm just...
What do you think? Isn't it a pretty sound?
A beautiful sound, yes. The stream's doing alright. Like it is. Okay. It's a beautiful sound, yes, but it's a little hard to enjoy when all the policemen in the room are giving you fierce looks.
Never mind that. If any of them say anything, I'll tell Gregsy to have a word.
Iris Wilson, Superintendent of Scotland Yard. There's the article ledger here, and Mr. Windybank's notes, and... What's this? It looks as though someone has left a little photographic print behind.
Oh, look on the back. There is some writing. Is there? Oh, show us, Susie. Show us. "15th of February, 10:30 p.m. Article deposited. One gentleman's overcoat."
So Gina held this. Right? That isn't Gina's blood, surely. She picked it up the next day, when by then her hands would have been clean. There. She was given £5, apparently the interest. How crazy is the interest? Why did the... I guess he just wanted to give her more money. Not like it's making any difference to him. Loan amount paid, £1. Redemption deadline, 15th of April, 10:30 p.m. A gentleman's overcoat pawned for £1. Clearly it was a very fine coat. In fact, I think...
Yes, this must be the ticket from the overcoat that Ginny redeemed yesterday.
And is still wearing, which belonged to Mr. McGilded. I never would have expected the redemption ticket to be handwritten on the back of the photograph, though.
It seems Mr. Windybank just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have to hand.
This photograph of a cat, it looks very familiar, doesn't it? I'm sure we've seen this exact same picture somewhere else recently.
Oh, yes, you're right. Very recently. It's the same one that Ginny gave us earlier.
Of course, I was forgetting that she gave us that print.
Well, what are you waiting for then, Mr. Naruhodo? Get it out.
No comment on that line. Alright, let the cogs turn. They form a stereo... You meant to put them in the stereograph. Clearly. Because look, the eye here versus the eye here. Looking slightly facing the left, looking head on.
Yes, they are exactly the same.
No, they're not.
There, I've got it. These two photographs hide an amazing secret.
A secret? What does she mean?
You must tell us, Iris, at once. Do you really want to know?
Yes, we need you to tell us all you know about this pair of photographs.
Poor Ginny. This is all my fault, really. But she'll be alright, won't she? In court tomorrow, I mean.
I'll defend her with everything I've got.
So, she'll be alright, won't she?
Am I that bad at instilling confidence? I want to examine the gas lamp. The ledger that's open on the counter there really is enormous, isn't it? Must be an awful lot of work to keep track of all these hundreds of items in pawn.
It's too much to think about. Better to sell it all and have a clear head, if you ask me.
But clearly Mr. Windybank was very careful when it came to the articles in his care. That's the door, not the gas. I want to look at this fucking broken lamp. God damn it, game. Right. Fine, game. If you're not going to be nice to me, I'm going to go walk everywhere I can. She's gone in for questioning, probably. Gina doesn't appear to be here. I believe she must be in questioning at the moment.
Oh, but wait a minute.
What is it, Iris?
Well, if you examine the scene here carefully, there's another possibility, isn't there? Ginny could have slipped the key from the jailer when he wasn't looking and escaped. Oh my!
Why? Why would she do something like that? It would only make her situation worse.
Calm down, Rono. I was only joking, of course.
Oh. Ugh, you had me worried there. I thought it was a great deduction.
Yes, it must be your way with words, Iris. You're so wonderfully persuasive. Perhaps you don't fully understand the weight of your words carry. Oh dear, I'm sorry. I suppose a light-hearted great detective is a contradiction in terms.
Well, in the same situation, I'm sure Mr. Sholmes would have just thrown his head back and guffawed.
I'm not entirely sure that's helpful, Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, anyway, it looks like we won't be able to talk to Gina for a while. We should try and make progress with our investigation in the meantime. We didn't ask her about this incident. Why does this always happen? We never get to ask our own clients about the incident they're accused us with. Goodness me.
Yes, oh.
That is not right.
Yes, come along then, Rono. Come along, Susie.
You can't even examine stuff in this one? Aw. Alright. Yeah? No. Different dialogue now that Susato's with us. Let's see. No, yeah, it's all the same. All the same. Dun, 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 dun. So Iris, about these two photographic prints. The one we found here on Mr. Windybank's counter, and the one Gina gave us before. What is this amazing secret you mentioned, hidden between these two identical prints? I'm trying to find another spot where they're not identical, quite clearly. Hat is at the end of the photo, hat is not at the end of the photo. Cat's tail, cat's tail.
Actually, that's not quite right.
Sorry?
If you look carefully, the two prints aren't the same. Not exactly.
They're not?
Have another look at them now. Can you see that they're just slightly different from each other?
I think so. It's very subtle though.
But what's the reason for the subtle difference between the two prints? Ah, well, It's because they're a set, you see.
No, I don't.
This pair of photographs is meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London is raving about them at the moment.
Ah, a stereoscope. Why do I feel as though I've heard that word before recently?
Oh, yes. That's what Mr. Sholmes showed us yesterday. You see, there it is, just over there.
Ah, yes, of course. That magical machine that makes pictures look almost real enough to touch.
Well, actually, it's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures even without one of those contraptions.
What? Really?
You know how a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place? No, I have no idea. Oh, wonderful! Then I'll be able to tell you.
She's over the moon, bless her. Should we let her explain, though? We really need to carry on investigating the scene.
I, for one, simply have to know.
Dun, 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 dun. This stuff has got to be relevant to the case. Maybe the only thing I can think of, other than like a stereoscopic image being relevant, other than that, the only thing I can think of is the game priming us to think of each eye as a separate thing. So like somebody sees something with only one eye and is fooled by it, or there's some weird fooling going on. That's all I can think of. Because, I mean, Shutakumi would not include like 5 dialogue sections about stereoscopic prints and not have them be important. Like, there's some reason for it. What could it actually be though? How can this be relevant to the murder? I just don't see it other than like some like obscure part of the motive.
Let's try it. Let's see if you can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope.
Fuck, I should have read the other dialogue first. This is going to be weird now.
Oh yes, I'm dying to have a go.
Susato-san really loves this kind of thing.
You need to be able to cross your eyes. That's the main thing. Can you both do that?
Cross my eyes? I think I can.
Watch me and see if you can copy. Make your eyes do this. Alright, let me try. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
It would be really funny if she can't do it. Oh. This is just... Okay. Okay, game.
There, how's that? Wonderful. Now it's your turn, Runo. The trick is to concentrate at looking the bridge of your nose with both eyes at the same time.
Not exactly an easy task when two people are staring at you cross-eyed.
Alright, that's enough practice. Now let's try looking at the prints. Start by staring at one print and slowly crossing your eyes.
I'm crossing my eyes, but it's making it go out of focus. How do I cross my eyes and keep it in focus? I feel like crossing your eyes makes it go out of focus, unless I put the screen to my face.
You should see 2 overlapping images like this.
I have to try and see if the game is actually making this work or not. Also, this is how the 3DS works, right? I'm just making it go out of focus. What the hell? Am I stupid?
You try it now, Rono.
I'm just going to have to give it a try, I suppose.
Did the print split into 2 images for you? Now, the next step... is to put the pair of prints side by side like this, and to try crossing your eyes again.
Right, I'm doing it without my glasses. Just making it go out of fucking focus. I'm so bad.
The prints should merge together until... they form a new single...
I swear, if I'm just stupid and, like, I'm not actually meant to be sitting here crossing my eyes, like, I've been got good.
They form a new single image in the centre. Oh, yes! It's the Naruhodo, it works. I can see in the middle now. It looks so real. Wow, oh, I could look at it all day.
I wouldn't advise that. Your eyes might start to hurt.
Your turn, Rono. Pretend you're looking through the 2 pictures and slowly cross your eyes.
Looking through the 2 pictures. Okay. Thank you for the advice, game. Okay, yeah, okay. I managed to get it to work. Thank you, game. Very nice, very nice.
Keep adjusting the position of your eyes until the images overlap exactly in the middle.
I got it to work. Like this, is it? This is probably my favorite, like, viewer, like, player interaction. So, well, I mean, this is the only thing like this, right? And it does work. It does work. It does work. What does that look like in the stream? I must look so mad.
There, you managed it. So now you know how stereoscopic print images work. Well, I don't know who discovered it, but it really is quite extraordinary.
Dun 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 dun.
Have you ever considered, Rono, how our eyes see depth in the world around us?
Well, I just opened them and it works.
But the reason it works is because we have 2 eyes.
2 eyes? Shocking.
If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away. What you see with your left eye, and what you see with your right eye are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye.
Please tell me that those 2 frames of the game actually work as... I almost want to try that. I'm not... Let me find what time it is on the stream and I'll write it down. 44. Write down 44 minutes. I'm actually going to try that after the stream, see if those 2 images that we use as an example actually work.
You get a different view with each eye. Yes, the position of objects seems to shift slightly. Exactly, and in your head, your brain uses that shift to estimate depth as it merges the 2 views into one. That's how we can sense depth in everything we see.
My brain really is amazing, isn't it? It does so much without telling me.
Ah, I think I see. So the pair of photographs consists of a left eye view and a right eye view. Is that right? Oh, well done, Susie. You're so quick.
So, if you can persuade your brain to merge the two pictures together in your head, you'd be able to see depth in these prints.
Yes, Rono, you're beginning to understand.
And the stereoscope's function is to act as your brain and allow you to do just that.
Yes, but as long as you have two images, two eyes and one brain, you can actually do it yourself without needing a stereoscope at all.
You can, really.
So what do you think of these stereoscopic prints then, Rono?
They're certainly amazing, but it isn't so easy to get the knack of viewing them properly.
No, some people find it easier than others. But that's why contraptions like this exist. People who find it tricky. Oh, I recognise that. We saw one over there yesterday, didn't we? If I remember correctly, you press this little knob here. Then set the pair of photographs in this stand at the back and...
It's still amazing, even though I know roughly how it works now.
Well, London seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently.
If these little machines are so affordable, surely there's no need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them.
But it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Well, I think so in any case.
Stereoscopic pictures? I've never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learnt a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need. I wonder if the writer of this video game, in which I star, would perhaps waste my time by having this whole segment not have any relevance in the trial. To be honest, I would say like massive respect to Shu Takumi if this is completely irrelevant, because they've made such a big deal out of it. It has to, but like, I really kind of hope it doesn't. The second white cat photograph has been entered into the court record. So this is the second of the two photographic prints of the cat, and it really does look like Wagahai. It looks exactly the same as the first photograph. The first photograph at first glance. I suppose that's what's so compelling. Actually, now we have both pictures, I could have another go at viewing them as a stereoscopic image. So, I need to cross my eyes and try to get the two cats to merge in the middle as one. Such a hard thing to do. Whoever thought of this in the first place must have spent a long time staring. No! Oh! No! His speech bubble covered it the whole time. It didn't let me have a go. No, I'm gonna do it again just because it's fun. So what if there's the big text box? It does work. It works quite well, actually. This is the ticket that Gina brought in here yesterday.
Yes, having been entrusted to her by Mr. McGilded 2 months earlier. Article deposited, one gentleman's overcoat.
And the other redemption ticket was in that pocket of that coat.
Yes, for a small box, deposited 2 days before the omnibus incident.
Could that have anything to do with all this? Yes. Please, can we talk about the massive blood stain on it? This stamp is clearer than the other stamp. Look, this dark red smear here appears to have been made by somebody's finger.
You think it could be blood?
Do you see any red mark as blood, Iris? That's a bit morbid, I think.
Well, it's almost certainly blood, isn't it?
10-year-olds today. Can we talk about the stamp, please? Why has that one got that view, but this one not? Stamp, please let me talk about the stamp. No. Okay.
Behind that door? It's the storeroom, isn't it? That's what Gregsy said.
Yes, and that's where I saw that dreadful scene last night. Through the little window in the door. Mr. Windybank, face down on the floor, with Gina beside him.
As the accused's legal representative, you have the right to examine the scene, Mr. Naruhodo. We must make a thorough investigation.
Yes, of course, and we will. Behind that door, that's the real scene of the crime. Unless there's been some messing about.
Don't worry, there are clothes in there. I'll find them.
Okay, I suppose that now gives us the option to move them. Yeah.
If you let your concentration slip, you might miss what people say.
What's that got to do with anything?
We could linger here a little longer, I think.
No, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to do that. Okay. Here's a thought. Him with his like character trait of wanting to shoot himself anytime anything goes wrong, right? That's obviously a red herring, right? There's no way this is a suicide. That would just be so stupid. I've got to be honest. That would be really stupid if this was a suicide. Unless there was some really good reason behind it, I guess. But that's going to be something. Oh, he may have committed suicide. That's going to be something that we bring up in a summation examination or something like that, right? Like when we just need some bullshit theory to get us out of a twist, we're going to say, oh, he did like want to shoot himself all the time, right? I feel like that seems natural, but we'll see. Poor Iris, she clammed up completely.
Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Windybank's life was taken in this very room only last night.
Ah! Wait, Inspector! What is it now, Sunshine? You took one look at me and tried to run away. You think a Scotland Yard inspector would run away from some jumped-up little defence lawyer, do ya? Well, I've never seen her ladyship looking like that before, is the thing. I didn't know what to say to her. So you weren't running away from me, you were running away from a 10-year-old.
I'm afraid this is all a little much for young Iris. Some gentle reassurance might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector.
Hey!
Now this is going to be awkward. Sato just landed him in it.
Don't trouble yourself and Jolie, like your ladyship. I mean, at least you're not dead, are you?
I don't think that went very well.
What? Look, I'm in the middle of an investigation here, Sunshine, and I told you not to get under my feet.
And we have investigating to do ourselves.
Yes, I'd like to hear more of what the socially inept inspector has to say.
Oh, hello.
And inquire into how Mr. Sholmes' operation is going. Inspector Gregson, can you give me your opinion about this? Actually, now we have both pictures, I could have another go at viewing them as a stereoscopic image. So, I need to cross my eyes, try and get the cats to overlap. Hard thing to do. Whoever thought of this in the first place must have spent a long time staring. Inspector, what do you make of this? Well, yeah then. Redemption ticket for an article deposited here, is it? Looks like someone went out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper was to hand. Yes, this is the ticket for McGilded's overcoat, the one the little diver turned up with yesterday.
Oh, actually no, it's not.
Really? You think you know better than me, do ya?
No, I didn't mean to,
Rono's right, Gregsy. It isn't the same ticket.
Of course.
It's funny every time.
Of course it isn't. Of course it isn't. I never doubted you, your ladyship. So, what's all this about then, if I might be so bold as to ask?
Oh my god.
This is a second ticket.
The second one?
Seems that Mr. McGilded in fact has another article in storage here at Windybanks.
Is that right?
I think we need to discuss this further with the inspector, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. This will be the same dialogue except not, right? Inspector Gregson. Oh.
I still can't.
Oh. Okay. No comment about.
I still can't believe you managed to get the diver to sign that bloody thing. Look at all these articles that have been deposited. The room is stuffed full of them.
I can't believe how many there are.
There's the small box.
A bicycle, a gramophone, musical instruments, even some enormous paintings. Look!
Pieces of different people's lives, quietly gathering dust in here together. There's something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here. Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outline on the floor and the policeman shuffling about. Not to mention the giant bloodstain. Not much I can do about that, sunshine. Wait, did I say that out loud? Why can everybody read my mind in this game? Ba, ba, ba. Big room, does it even go round this corner? Or is that like kind of just a cubby at the end? Okay, let's try the box. Out of all the articles in this storeroom, this is the only thing that shows any sign of being ransacked. Aha, yes.
Ah,
What is it, Iris?
that's the box file that my manuscript was being kept in.
Oh.
Oh,
Iris's unpublished story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Surely that's not what all this...
sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it without telling you. We must check inside the box at once. Yes. Ah! It was there! Iris' story was there!
Unless somebody took a copy of it. Really? It was? Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris?
Yes. I mean, of course I believed Hurley when he said he deposited it here, but still, it's a relief to actually see it.
Really? Because that's not a very well hidden frown. Yeah, this manuscript business is very odd, isn't it? Iris's manuscript has been entered into the court record. Gotta check that out. A long unpublished story that Mr. Sholmes deposited to the pawnbroker of the victim, Mr. Windybank. The Hound of the Baskervilles. The Hound of the Baskervilles. How did Susato-san know the exact title of this unpublished story? I suppose I'll just have to wait until she's ready to explain it to me. She's going to leave tomorrow. You should... come on, man. You've got to ask her at some point. I'm so sorry. It must have been from her dad. Like, that's... why would she be hiding it from me if that was it, though? Right? She's got no reason to hide it from me if it's because she heard from Dr. John H. Wilson. Right? This is a revolver. A real one.
And quite possibly, a murder weapon used to take Mr. Windybank's life.
This is irrelevant, but I just thought the stereoscopic images, they would have had to have been made. I mean, like, the artist who drew this, right? Okay, no, it's okay. You can tell it's a 3D model in a 3D engine. The snowman was like a 2D cutout image that they placed in a 3D environment. The cat is an actual 3D model, the same one that they use in the game. And that's, I guess, the reason for the cat looking similar, is just they wanted to use the same model again. And the background is just a flat background. I see. That's clever, at least. A bit of thinking from the game designers and artists and whatnot.
And quite possibly the murder weapon used to take Mr. Windybank's life. What's the matter, Soze? You and Bruno look like you're about to faint. Well, it's just that I've rarely seen a gun in the flesh.
And I've had issues with guns in the past. But anyway, we saw Mr. Windybank with this yesterday, didn't we? That's his revolver then. It only had one bullet in it.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, sir. I shall have to take my own life.
It must be the same gun. How many bullets are loaded in it? And last night, when I looked through the spy hole in the door to the storeroom here, that was the same gun I saw in Gina's hand.
Mr. Windybank told us that he only ever had a single bullet loaded in his revolver, didn't he? Well, it's empty now. The one and only bullet he had in this gun has been fired.
So we can be fairly certain that only a single shot was fired from this revolver. Unless someone just had ammo lying around. The police have marked the position of the body with a chalk line.
Poor Mr. Windybank. He was a nice old man.
Well, he was shot just once. Through the heart. Most likely, the fellow died instantly. He wouldn't have felt a thing.
Aha! I may well be able to help with that.
What?
There's nothing like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Bruno?
I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you, Iris.
I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold. There you have it, you see. When it comes to blood, we're all different types.
Yes, wait, what's a scientific observation?
So you need this.
Oh no, what is that scary-looking thing?
Ellie and I haven't actually come up with a name for it yet. But as soon as you see it in action, you'll understand what it does. Watch!
Luminol gun? Oh! The colour of the bloodstain has changed.
There, does it make sense now?
Yes, I think I'm starting to understand.
Good. It works on the principle that different people have different types of blood, you see.
Oh, okay. We can compare the blood using that.
Yes, how wonderful. The chemical it fires combines with the blood and makes it change colour. can identify whose blood it is that you're looking at in a flash. Oh, what a fabulous invention, Iris. Isn't it? Isn't it? I bet Ginny would say it's blatant great.
So, whose blood are we looking at then?
This must be Mr. Windybank's blood.
Yes, this is where he was shot, so there can't be any question of that.
This could turn out to be a very valuable clue, so we simply must make a note of it. Let's keep testing and adding the results of any other blood analysis to the portfolio. As long as I have reagent left, sure.
Actually, there's a stain on the back of that one photograph, isn't there? I think perhaps we should see if that tells us anything. Iris?
Don't worry, I'm alright. But we must find the true culprit. Yes, absolutely. Mr. Naruhodo, I don't know if you've noticed, but there is something rather troubling here.
I have noticed.
The red smear, you mean?
Yes, it looks like blood, doesn't it? I wondered if Susato-san had picked up on that. Well, in that case...
Yes, we need Iris.
We should show this to her before we forget. Wait, it didn't look like that when I examined the blood earlier. Okay, no different dialogue here. So the way we show it to Iris is we move. First of all, I'm going to double check here again. Then we go to the main shop. Here's Iris. Present. Boom. Clever.
Oh, that looks like blood.
I would say it's from a gloved finger. Most certainly a glove made of leather. Wait, I just realised something about English. Pop it to the... When we say, like, today we were like, oh, I'm going to pop to the shop, or like, I'll pop it here. That's descended from selling something at a pawnbroker's being called popping it, right? Oh. Okay. Almost certainly a glove made of leather. Oh, it's from a gloved finger.
Well, don't worry, Bruno. You can leave the rest to me.
Who? Look at that!
Yes, that's a colour we haven't seen before, isn't it? We simply add it to the portfolio of blood samples. It could be an important clue. Although, it would be nice to find out whose blood these different colours correspond to at some point.
Well, this particular stain of blood.
Oh, you've had an idea, haven't you? Do you know whose blood this is?
How could I? We don't have a known sample of the same colour. Without that, it's impossible to know.
Oh, very vexing. I wonder.
What?
Well, it's true that the colour doesn't help us.
Please, game, don't give me a hint.
But what about considering how the mark came to be there in the first place? You might have an idea about that, mightn't you, Bruno?
What if you can keep staring at me like that? No.
Let's try that again, shall we?
Well, this particular stain of blood.
Oh, you've had an idea, haven't you? You know whose blood this is?
Please be different dialogue. I will love the game. Okay. No. Well, this is a funny loop, isn't it? Yes, I have an idea whose blood it is. Not from the colour it turned, but with a little deduction.
That's right. I think it's clear. Iris, you know as well. You first, Bruno. Who do you think it belongs to?
Alright, I believe that this is the blood of... This is the overcoat. I want to see what happens if you get this wrong.
You think somehow it could be Mr. Windybank's blood?
Well, he would have been the last person to have handled the ticket. Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one.
But Mr. Windybank had no injuries. Before he was shot, that is. We're trying to work out where the blood came from, so we can rule out anyone who hadn't been bleeding straight away.
Yes, of course.
Perhaps it's not a concept you can really grasp unless you've bled before yourself.
Funnily enough, I have accidentally cut myself before. But thanks for the mildly threatening advice, Iris. I'll have to think this through some more. Who do we know was bleeding at the time? Alright, I believe this is the blood of... You'd think it's him, right? Because... Sure. Let's say these two.
Mr. McGill did?
Yes, after all, this redemption ticket belonged to him.
Oh, you don't think? You mean that during the incident on the omnibus?
Yes, I expect so. He never touched it though. It's a very clear print and no small amount of blood, though it must have resulted from a fairly serious accident, such as he might have sustained on the omnibus.
Wait, but if I remember rightly, no sign of injury was found on Mr. McGilded at all.
Oh.
We're trying to work out where the blood came from, so we can rule out anyone who hadn't been bleeding straight away.
Yes, I suppose we can. I'll have to think this through some more. Who do we know was bleeding at the time?
Oh my, you think this is Gina's blood?
Yes, it was Gina who brought the ticket here, to Windybanks, after all. Sometimes the simplest answer is the right one.
But Gina doesn't own any gloves at all.
Oh.
And Jenny wasn't injured either, was she?
Ah.
We're trying to work out who the blood came from, so we can rule out anyone who hadn't been bleeding straight away.
Perhaps my answer was a little too simple. I'll have to think this through some more. Who do we know was bleeding at the time? Thrice-fired Mason.
You don't sound very sure of yourself, the way you trailed off there.
Well, it was 2 months ago now, that case. Of course I'd never met the victim. I'm struggling to remember his name. He was definitely thrice-fired, though.
The victim of the omnibus case? Yes, his name was indeed Mr. Thrice-fired Mason. That would mean this bloodstain was left on the ticket 2 months ago.
Yes, I think it was. Gina brought this ticket here to Windybanks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the bloodstain was already on it at that time. What if it's the blood of Eggert Benedict, somehow? But, okay, this seems reasonable.
So it's a smear of blood from the time Mr. Mason was killed 2 months ago. Something else is coming back to me now. Mr. McGilded was also wearing leather gloves that night.
His didn't have blood on there.
Now I ask you, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a feller bleeding from his stomach? Oh, I wasn't a part to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand.
But McGilded would never touch this. It certainly does look like a leather-gloved thumbprint, this mark. Wait, he did touch it. He sent... what was his name? The driver? Don't know. So, McGilded sent the driver to the pawn shop with the coat. The driver then received this note from Mr. Windybank and took it back to Mr. McGilded. Mr. McGilded then held it with his glove and then gave it to Gina, no, didn't give it to Gina. He then put it in the bush and told Gina to collect it the next day, at which point it already had the blood on it. Okay. So we can use this to prove Gina's story. Because if Gina was lying about this thing, right, because we know she had possession of the ticket, we know now that McGilded touched the ticket, it makes sense. But we know that Mr. McGilded had no injuries at the time, anywhere on his body, from which we can conclude that any blood on the glove belonged to the victim, Mr. Mason.
Mr. Naruhodo, you sound just like Mr. Sholmes.
Minus the quirky slip-ups, I hope.
Yes, I think you're right, Rono. Very well, let's make a note of this.
That could be wrong, though. By some weird logic. I don't know. Maybe, you know, how can I prove that it's Mr. Mason's? What about now? No. Right, let's talk to Detective. Whoa. So, Inspector, what do you make of the crime scene here?
Sure, you've got eyes, haven't you? Use 'em. It's what it looks like. Nothing more, nothing less.
Iris, could you lend me a hand?
So, Gregsy, what do you make of the crime scene here?
Did she copy the line? Yeah.
Oh yes, your ladyship, allow me to humbly explain. Last night, and shortly after the hour of 1 o'clock in the morning, Scotland Yard Police attended the scene. The one and only door to this story was found locked from the inside.
So it was locked from the inside.
The lock appears to be broken now, though. Was that the police officers' doing?
Quite right, ma'am, quite right. We took the liberty of smashing the door in, as humbly as possible.
Oh,
As you can see, the victim was discovered prostrate on the floor, thus-wise. And next to the aforementioned body, we discovered the vile gutter child.
are you talking about Ginny? She's my friend, you know, Inspector.
Miss Lestrade, the hapless girl, was curled up on the floor, dead to the world.
Still alive, you know. Yes, when I saw her, she appeared to be unconscious.
and I'm afraid to say, she had the gun that was used in her hand.
No!
No.
No! Oh no! No!
There we go. Presumably it's the gun that's still down there on the floor now.
In her pocket, we found the key to the door as well.
What? The key to this storeroom?
And you say the storeroom had been locked from the inside, Inspector?
Those two guys, they made a copy of the key with caramel or a substitute. And with the key, they locked the door from the outside.
And you say the storeroom had been locked from the inside, Inspector?
Correct. All of which leaves her ladyship's friend.
And how did they lock it from the inside? You take your key through the little window and your duplicate key.
All of which leaves her ladyship's friend in something of a sticky situation, I'm afraid. Obviously, my personal opinion is that it's all some sort of misunderstanding.
Of course it is, Inspector. Of course it is.
Aleks, eh? Do you know anything about Hurley? Is the operation finished? Is Hurley alright? Is he?
Well, the thing is,
Don't mince your words, Inspector. Please. You don't mean to say that Mr. Sholmes is...
No. The operation's done and dusted. It's just that, well...
Out with it!
Yes, ma'am. They use something called a general anaesthetic. It's the latest thing, and it's the whole body insensitive.
The whole body? And he's anesthetized. Why can't I say this word in his voice? Anesthetized. Anesthetized. I can do it in my own voice. It's one of those things where if you try so hard to say a word, it stops meaning anything. Is that even possible? Anesthetized. Anesthetized.
It means the operation can be completed while the patient is fast asleep. Fast asleep.
Goodness, in the Empire of Japan, we can just manage to provide laughing gas for a tooth extraction.
The trouble is, the latest thing isn't always the greatest thing, if you follow my meaning. They couldn't get the medication to work at first, so it took hours for him to nod off, or so I hear. And now that the op's finished, they can't get him to wake up, apparently.
Oh my!
No one knows if it's the anaesthetic still in his system, or if the bloke's just plain exhausted. But anyway, all they can do is stand back and watch until he comes round again.
Really?
The moment he opens his eyes, your ladyship, I swear I will get the word to you.
What a surprise! Even in matters of life and death, Mr. Sholmes has to do things his way. Has that changed anything? This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGilded's overcoat.
Aye, you mean to tell me?
Yes, there was more than just the music box disc, it seems.
I should have insisted that the lads taking it back to the yard and examining it properly.
Oh yeah, because he did Gina a favour by saying you can keep it.
Well, according to the details on this ticket, Mr. McGilded deposited another article here with Mr. Windybank.
Yes, I can see it written here. Small box, was it?
Do you have any idea where it is, Gregsy? Any idea at all? It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilded. It could be an important clue.
Well, yes, I suppose it could be. Please, stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes. It's all full of hope and expectation. It's all too much pressure. I'll lose me marbles, I will. I'll go barking.
Oh, I want a screenshot of this sprite. No. This is no time for dog impressions, Inspector.
That's enough sauce from you, sunshine. There is one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline's already passed, hasn't it? Passed, hasn't it?
Oh yes, of course. Articles are only held for 2 months. So the small box will no longer be in here then?
That's right. It's been forfeited.
Which means it could be on the shelves in front of the shop where the forfeited items are offered for sale.
Yes, the shelves in the front. Must search them at once.
You're wasting your time.
Oh,
There are dozens of little boxes out there, hundreds even. We can't possibly know which one might have been McGilded's. That information's not written in the ledger. Ugh.
well, I think we should at least have a look just in case.
Of course, your ladyship. Of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure.
This is getting old. I do quite like Ryunosuke as a protagonist. Do I prefer him to Phoenix Wright and Apollo Justice? I don't know. He is very fun though. Small box, anyone? Oh, I didn't even look at the calendar earlier, did I? Oops.
Yes, this is where all the items that have been forfeited by their original owners are offered for sale. That's right, they've all got little price labels on them, but there are so many.
I wonder if the small box this ticket was for is still on the shelf somewhere. The box that Mr. McGilded deposited here just over 2 months ago.
Even if it were, finding it promises to be very troublesome indeed. There are so many boxes, it could be any one of them.
Mr. Shome said that the pawnbroker's was the safest place to store anything, more secure than the bank's vault. But perhaps this small box of Mr. McGilded's contained something of very great value.
Well, if that's the case, he'd probably have kept it locked.
So then, we need to find every box with a lock and break them all open.
Hiya! That sort of misconduct would get you arrested. I won't let that happen.
This takes me back. It's been some time since Susato-san last threw me. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to pull out of our ass in the middle of the trial. We're going to just have to turn around and say, oh yes, there's the box. I know this box. Ah, look here.
Oh yes, a bullet hole. And I can see the bullet is still lodged in the wall.
Presumably Mr. Windybank wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time. That was when Mr. Sholmes was shot?
Ah, well... Mr. Sholmes likes to practice in his drawing room whenever he can. He's very patriotic like that.
Sorry?
It's all there in the adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, you know. Isn't that right, Iris? Ah, did I write something like that? Partly in jest, perhaps? In jest? Well, he doesn't do it often. It's quite a dangerous pastime.
He doesn't do it often. He shouldn't even do it once.
Forget that for now, Rono. Let's examine this bullet.
What's that around the bullet hole? Is it blood? Suspicious red stain on the calendar.
Aha! This is where I come in.
Oh, right. The blood changes to be the same colour as the sample from the storeroom. Would I got a different dialogue if I'd examined this earlier? No, I missed dialogue. We'll know that it was Mr. Windybank's blood.
Exactly. Here we go then.
Yellow. I guessed wrong. Hmm?
It's completely different to the colour that Mr. Windybank's blood turned in the analysis. Just goes to show, things don't always go according to plan, do they? Nevertheless, we must add this sample to the results of the other blood analysis.
Wait, Sholmes's bullet was still lodged inside of him. This is strange. The blood samples portfolio. We have to test Mr. Sholmes' blood.
Ah! I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Windybank set such a wicked trap?
We need to examine the cameras. Mr. Sholmes' cameras. 2 photos an hour. We need to examine them. I doubt he set out to scare anyone.
Is that really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Gina another visit soon.
Oh?
Her trial is tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you will be defending her. I think we should ask her one more time. She may have changed her mind.
Dun 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 dun.
Don't you remember, Rono? You told us she could rip up the representation papers if she didn't want you to be a lawyer.
Really? Did I say that?
Yes! You did?
I like this scene.
The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching.
In that case, we'd better hurry back into the prison and talk to Gina again. Where's Sholmes' camera? That's actually going to be stupidly important. No? Sholmes' camera, guys. That's like the most important thing in this room. Dun 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 dun. This is the investigation core theme, I think. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Tobias Gregson isn't here anymore. And he hasn't messed with the scene in any way. We have the flag of the Netherlands, Switzerland, and something. Very interesting, and it's the old Dutch flag. That's very nice, actually. Nice little touch. So much for the tense atmosphere. And you just have had the music to be the same everywhere. Gregson isn't here. Sholmes. Nope, no Sholmes. Okay, fine, I'll do what the game is telling me to.
If we don't hurry, visiting hours will be over and we won't be able to see Ginny.
Ah, Gina, good. Ah, Gina, good. You're back.
Ah!
The police must have finished questioning her, then.
Oh, how was it, Ginny? Was it awful? Eh? Oh! Didn't bother me.
Thank you for the papers you signed before. It meant we were able to investigate at Windybanks.
Oh, right. Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? Won't change what everyone's saying, that I did it. That's not...
Gina, we came to ask for your final decision.
Eh? What decision? Eh? What decision?
About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you or not? I hope that there is a touch here of like, just her going through the interrogation process has sort of humbled her a bit in the face of the trial.
I must submit the paperwork now, if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Right, I see.
She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. I know what that feels like. The worry is just so hard to bear. Zoom in. Actually, I've only just noticed that we zoom in whenever we have these scenes. Gina, I'd like to thank you for signing these papers.
If you want to thank me, you can do it once you've got me off the hook.
That's a continuity thing. Alright then. You haven't even told me that you want me to submit the papers yet. Wait, what? Shouldn't she be thanking me then?
You know what, Mr. Naruhodo?
That's the closest version of somebody who can't pronounce my name right. That's the first instance where it's sort of close.
Naruhodo? It ain't good manners to expect thanks if you'd owe someone a favour.
I know that! She's as tricky with words as she is with her fingers. Do you see this pawnbroker's ticket, Gina? It's the one you took to Windybanks, isn't it? The one for the black overcoat that you're wearing now.
Eh? What? That? I don't know. They all look the same to me, those tickets.
Surely not. Well, this one has a very obvious mark on it. That would appear to be blood.
Eh?
Does that ring any bells?
I don't know. It all looks the same to me, blood.
And they all sound the same to me, these answers. Suspicious. We found this in Mr. Windybank's storeroom. Oh yeah, she would want to know about this. The manuscript of Iris's latest story.
Ah! Oh, right. Well, that's good then.
Curiously, the storeroom at Windybanks showed no sign of being ransacked for items of value or the like. With one exception, the box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina, who broke open the box containing this manuscript last night?
Aye?
You were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of the Baskervilles was really there. That's the real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it? Dun dun dun, run dun dun. Rum dun dun.
Ah!
Why don't you tell us what happened? Please. Dun dun dun, dun dun dun, run dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun, run dun. I think I'll do that one first.
Alright, yeah. This Baskervilles story. It's the latest Shymas adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet. So I figured it's got to be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right? Oh yes, at least £5,000. What?
So, you intended to sell Iris's manuscript, did you?
No, Ginny, how could you? What? Wait, no, hang on. Of course I weren't going to sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the manuscript, or whatever you call it, really was there or not. That's the only reason I was in the place. For Iris's sake. Isn't that right? Ah,
We knew why you'd done it from the start, Gina. Of course we did.
but I know you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Ginny. I just knew it. Well,
When I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you'd said the night before.
grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, the lot of them. You just ain't realised it yet. I'm telling ya, that manuscript ain't at Windybanks. You'd soon see if you had a look. I'm honest. Oh, Hurley, if I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere. Somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him. Oh, Ginny, that was so sweet of you. Alright, alright, alright. I'll tell you why I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. Oh, alright then. Blimey, give it a rest with them eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in. Who done it?
Fortunately, we don't know that yet.
You don't say. We don't know yet. Don't know yet, Gina.
Also, you don't say, isn't that like a modern thing? Right? No? It's not an old-fashioned phrase. That's the second time that I've been wondering about an old phrase. You don't say phrase origin. The well-known British comedian Benny Hill, who had a show that ran from 1955 to 1989. The phrase was used in a well-known skit from his show. Okay. Yeah, that's only the second time in this whole game where I've been like, that's not old-fashioned. There's probably been a few that I just haven't noticed because... Yeah.
But Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you are innocent of this crime.
And while we haven't yet managed to work out who the real culprit is, there are a number of interesting facts that we have managed to establish.
Oh yeah? Like what?
Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I know why you broke into Windy Banks that night.
We already have these representation papers and other documents we need.
All we have to do is hand them over to the court clerk. That is, if you'll allow me to represent you in court tomorrow.
Nah, don't bother. You know, rip 'em up and chuck 'em, would ya? Them representation papers, or whatever they're called. This cell ain't fancy enough to have a bin.
So, what will you do in court tomorrow?
I'll be fine on my own. I don't think you will be. Look, it don't matter. What's going to happen is going to happen.
This is one stubborn pickpocket.
It weren't because of Iris. That's not why I did it. I just wanted to know the truth, that's all. You wanted to know if Mr. Sholmes was being honest. If he'd really deposited the manuscript at Windy Banks. It's like I told you the night before. I never had a father. But Iris's lot ain't like mine. She's got a dad, only she can't see him. And I reckon that's got to be harder. That's why she writes her stories. They're about her dad, really. So what it sounded like to me, anyway. That's what it sounded like to me, anyway. Last night, when I was listening to what you were saying. Stories about Daddy.
You mean they're not the adventures of a great detective, so much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner?
Well, that's how I see it, yeah. You're so thoughtful and kind, Ginny. Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? Look, give it a rest, will ya? I hate all this chummy nonsense. Did you hear? I hate it. I don't trust no one, right? That's how I work. Because if you don't trust no one can let you down. So leave me alone. Go on, scalp her.
I hadn't noticed until now, but it's unmistakable. Right there on both sleeves of that overcoat. Wow, I did not even think to look at that. Are some very suspicious red stains.
What? Why are you looking at me like that?
I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area to Gina now. Rum-dum-dum. Do this first, just in case. No.
Hey, what's that? They all look the same. It's all the same, innit? Innit?
Those stains on the sleeves of your new coat, Gina. They're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet.
What? Blood, Mr. Naruhodo.
Also, that's right. You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So, could it be blood that splattered from Mr. Windybank when he was shot last night?
Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get results much faster than anything else. Hey, to take it easy, Iris. Don't move, Ginny. I'm gonna shoot.
Ooh. Purple. Purple. Purple is the colour of thrice-fired mason. This proves what now? Something more about the omnibus incident. How did it get cleaned off, the blood? There's a lot of weirdness with that incident.
Oh! Oh my!
What the? Forget the sleeves. The whole coat is covered in blood. Of course. The black colour of the fabric was masking the stains. That's why we haven't seen them up until now.
And the blood has reacted with the chemical to turn a purple colour, which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly. Yes, now let's say, who had the purple blood? Aha! Yes, it was the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago.
I knew it.
What? What are you all on about? The victim? What do you mean? It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means that the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, is revealed. Oi! Would someone explain what's going on? Stop telling half a story.
Hang on, let me think. Does this prove it was Mr. McGilded? Mr. McGilded must have been wearing this coat, right? Otherwise, how did he have it? I just don't get how he managed to make the blood not appear red. And if there was red blood on it, right? He passed it over to the driver. Oh, it was dark! It was dark, so even though it had red blood on it, the driver probably wouldn't have took care to notice. And he had his eyes shut half the time anyway with how cold he was. Oh, well, you know we're going to present everything to Susato.
This one document could be the key to Gina's fate. We must fight tooth and nail for her freedom. Tooth and nail.
You're very passionate about it, I see. Not that I don't understand that. No, I was surprised to see how neatly Gina signed her name.
Oh!
You wouldn't have expected it from an orphaned East End pickpocket, would you?
Well, this is Great Britain with a wonderful education system.
Wait a minute. This was written with a feud brush, and by a very skilled hand.
Ah!
What? It was you who wrote it, wasn't it?
Oh dear, Gina was insistent, so I couldn't refuse.
Wait, why didn't she want to write it herself? I don't get it. So, about this. The Hound of the Baskervilles. Iris's unpublished work.
Yes, so Mr. Sholmes was telling us all the truth. He did indeed deposit it for safekeeping with Mr. Windybank.
True, but then, that still leaves the question of how Susato-san knew the full title.
I haven't read it myself, of course.
Ah, no.
I realize I spoke carelessly last night. It was a dreadful mistake.
I know that you must have your reasons for not telling us anymore. Anymore.
I'm so sorry.
Dunka, 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 dun. We can see now that the victim's blood is all over Mr. McGilded's coat.
But in the trial 2 months ago, The defendant said this in his testimony. Now I ask you, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about the gloves, me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand.
But if you look at this overcoat now, it's clear. These stains couldn't have arisen from Miss Gilded trying to pull the victim to his feet.
No, if that was what really happened, blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat.
The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over McGilded's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there's no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, Magnus McGilded, was Magnus McGilded.
Mr. Naruhodo.
That horrible case is solved at last. And I helped the man walk free from that trial. I used all that twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. How could I have let that happen?
Bruno, did you believe him though? Did you believe Mr. McGilded was innocent?
I believed, or rather, I think I was trying to believe. I wanted to, because believing in those you represent in court is a defense lawyer's greatest weapon.
A weapon?
Before we came to Great Britain, a great friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson.
You mean Kazuma-sama?
God, I haven't done this voice in a long time. I feel like that's just going to be the thing with Kazuma, right? I never do his voice until I do. And then every now and then I'm just going to have to do it again. I'm just going to do fucking Phoenix voice. Listen, Ryunosuke. We lawyers are only human. We can't know for sure what the truth is, what's the truth and what is a lie. Which is why we must resort to our primary weapon. An unwavering belief in our clients. That's all we have. Really. Unwavering belief. Only when we truly believe what our clients tell us can we fight with everything we have for their cause. In any battle, there can be no victory without faith. So I believe you, unwaveringly. What's funny, Gina?
Cool, sounds like this Empire of Japan you come from. Everyone must be soft. Well, come on. Look at the mess it's got you into, believing in that bog trotter.
Yes, I inadvertently helped a murderer walk free.
Well, at least you've learnt your lesson now, eh? Believing in people is never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. As soon as you let down your guard, you've had it. Take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one, get hurt by no one. Gina, may I ask you something? What? I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial? How many times do I have to say it? Rip them up and chuck them away. Are you really sure that's what you want? I'll bet that's what he wants and all now. Mr. I'm a believer lawyer over there. Don't forget it was me in that trial 2 months ago. I led everyone up the garden path, didn't I?
And you're telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely. Well, Mr. Naruhodo?
A lawyer's primary weapon is an unwavering belief in his client. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gina after everything that's happened. I really want to put the wrong answer here. You know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna save and do it because I think that's gonna be a funny line. Dun, 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 dun. But what choice do I really have here? I have to believe. But what choice do I really have here? I have to believe in her. Although I can hardly believe myself that I'm making this choice in spite of everything. Let's just put it down to one life's little curiosities. Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial.
Are you half-baked?
Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? What's more, I believe that you're telling me the truth.
Seriously? Mr. Naruhodo? Didn't you hear all of what I just said before? I'm a born liar. Fibs just trip off me tongue. And I'm a diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago and got you into all sorts of trouble. Why would you ever trust me now? I just don't get it.
Run dun 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 dun. Gina?
I do understand why you choose not to put your trust in others. But I assure you, there is more to this life than you yet realize. What do you mean? The world we live in is full of people you would do very well to trust. People who won't ever let you down.
It's true that I'm just a student of law, and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience. But I can promise you this. Whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I'm completely on your side.
What do you expect me to say to that?
Oh.
What do you expect me to say to that? Then it's decided. I will take these papers now, carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. It would be a shame to throw them away now after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Do what you like. You wasting lot, I don't know what you are. I don't get you.
Gina's taking herself off to the back of her cell. She'd never admit it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out all right in the end, I think.
Whoever is hiding there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping is the height of cowardice.
Don't tell me it's Van Sykes, that would be incredible. Miss Susato!
Somebody is there in the shadows. I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before.
What? Please, if this is Van Sykes, I will be so happy. Blimey, you're sharp, eh?
Blimey, you're sharp, eh? Oh,
That's the second best thing, I suppose.
I suppose you were using one of those mystic Japanese arts. Like the art of stealth I've heard so much about.
If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector.
Grexy!
Oh dear me, oh, I'm most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you.
How long have you been listening on our conversation?
Good grief, listening in? No. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave even though it was after hours. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived. This very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is. Nothing untoward, nothing at all.
After hours? Is it that late already?
So then, I'll humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio, all the best. Bye, bye and bye.
That's a lot of farewells, and not one of them appropriate for her ladyship.
Oh, but I wanted to have a chat.
I'm terribly sorry, but the time is pressing at the moment. At the minute,
Oh, I say, that's a shame.
if I don't get this emergency at the Supreme Court dealt with in Sharpish, Lord Strongheart will, well,
Emergency?
Lord Strongheart?
nothing! Oh, forget that I said anything. Anyway, I'm off.
All right, Gregsy, if you have to. Then let's chat soon.
Delighted, charmed, can't wait. If you please, my pleasure.
It's a lot of pleasantries. Not one of them sounded sincere.
Gregsy's so funny. He says such silly things.
It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old girl. But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court.
I must attend the court clerk's office now before it closes.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Miss Susato.
Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later.
And we're not going to go visit Sholmes. And so our investigation came to an end. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day. Maybe it isn't going to be a 2-day ordeal. Okay, how do I think this trial's going to go down? If it is a 2-day ordeal or not. And then it hit me. I could no longer suppress the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving Britain, making her way back to Japan. That's going to be a bit odd.
Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I do hope you're not too exhausted.
What about you, Susato-san? The day has been even more trying for you, I'm sure. Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes. Gina was arrested. All on the back of the news that her father has fallen ill and that she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon.
Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage in my head like a storm. Yet, I seem unable to find the words to express any of them.
I know exactly what you mean.
Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow.
One final task. Do it all again, because that's just how I roll. Wait, I think there is going to be a second day of investigation. Because otherwise, what the hell was the point of the hospital scene? Like, literally, you're going to use that hospital scene for that one little bit with the policeman? Really? Really, game? Although I guess that wouldn't be the first time that there's been stuff like that. Like, look at Director Hottie from Justice for All. I don't know. It also feels weird that how can this trial, right, be any more complicated than just, hey, look at the witness at the stand. They're the killer. And I know this because there was no one else at the scene. Right? Like, how can it ever be any more complicated than that? Right? I don't understand how it can be any more complicated than that. Oh, what? This is reset again. Really? 1 minute. No. Oh, it's just going to be one of those things where she's like, now is not the time. What's the matter with me? Why am I examining things at a time like this? This is my last chance to talk to Susato-san before she leaves. Okay, fine, I'll do it in order game, okay.
It's just 2 months since we arrived in London. But we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I would be lying if I said I felt no regret.
So sorry, Sato-san.
It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts.
I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learned something.
And what would that be?
It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities.
Facets?
And like a jewel, the light plays off them in complex pattern, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we see only a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only a part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on, as long as we live.
That's so true.
Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much, but I keep hoping that one day it will all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated, and I'll finally understand how everything fits together.
Naruhodo-san.
I suppose what matters. Like, also, how the hell are we going to bring the whole, like, international intrigue into this trial? Right? How? It's just a dude who was killed. I guess the motive, but, like, we can't spend that long on the motive, surely. We can't spend the whole trial talking about the motive. I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open, and we keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark.
It's amazing to think it's been just 2 months. You've grown so much.
Sorry, I've what?
Oh no, it was nothing. Unimportant.
Do you know what time you will leave London in the morning?
Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 a.m.
See, well, I'll escort you to the station.
Absolutely not.
Sorry?
I'm sure you'll realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. Have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow.
Gina's trial. Yes, I know, but...
Every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible, even though, like me, I'm sure you'll find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try.
Oh. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean? I also feel like a little bit of that is Capcom telling me that they couldn't make it work, that they have that scene in here. But, I don't know. When you mentioned one final task a moment ago, what did you mean?
Oh my! I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this.
What is that? Some huge bundle of documents?
It's my notes from the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus.
The McGilded case.
It seems to me this case of Mr. Windybank's murder, of which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you.
Everything else she's had to think about. Susato-san still managed to do this, and all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting.
It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case tomorrow for Gina.
Thank you so much, Susato-san. I'll do my best to use it wisely. Who's going to be my assistant in court? You really are the best judicial assistant in the world.
Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure.
Sorry? I didn't quite catch what you said there.
Oh! Ignore me. I was just mumbling to myself.
Why?
Well, it's getting rather late. I think you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room.
Susato-san,
I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night.
Wait! There's something I need to say.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. What was that?
A secret technique of mine. Susato shutdown.
Shutdown?
Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears.
Aww. Susato-san. Truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us, learning the truth about that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted, and yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. I forced myself to close my eyes, and as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played throughout my mind. Eventually, my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. And I missed court tomorrow morning, ruining the whole game. That would be insanely funny. But, I mean, come on. I just slept until 1 p.m. I couldn't help it. Oh no. The small hours. Okay. Hospital scene.
Yes, I quite understand.
There's a great weight off my mind. Oh, she went to visit him. This is a cool scene. Oh man, this is cool.
Rest assured, I shall put everything in place, exactly as we have discussed.
Thank you so much. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes.
On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. My dear madam.
Oh man, that was a lot of good. That was very good. I enjoyed this so much. This whole game, just from start to finish, is amazing. When I awoke the following morning, Susato-san was already gone. You know, I'll read this little, like, thingy bit. Outside the window, the rain came down in sheets. And so began an even longer day than the last. One that I would remember for the rest of my days. Alright, I'm not going to save, I'm just going to quit. Wow, there we go. Oh wow! The nighttime hospital scene. Candlelight. The shadow makes sense. What is it? Wait, no it doesn't. How does this shadow make any sense? This is the end of the bed, and this is to the left of the end of the bed. The shadow should be to the right of the end of the bed. Yet it's there. Ooh, spooky shadows. Okay, that's the end of this one. Until next time, the trial... Oh man, I have no idea how they're going to make this trial last ages and be epic. I honestly don't know. Because it seems like this murder is open and shut, but not in like the... It's open and shut in terms of like who did it, right? It has to be one of the two thugs, right? Unless there was some third thug, you know? It all just seems a bit odd. How can it be complicated? We can't have a moving crime scene, that's ridiculous, there's no way. How could that even be, like, important? I don't know. We have the locked room mystery to solve, I guess, but I think that's just going to be a case of duplicating the key. I mean, Sholmes showed us that he could do that. The disc? What's the disc going to mean? I have no idea. The little box? Maybe the little box is a music box, I don't know. Oh man, there's so much, I guess. We'll see, we'll see.